So without further ado, I'll turn this over to Jeff. Thank you very much.
And as always, we need to make sure that you know that eTruck Biz is not endorsed, sponsored, approved, or otherwise affiliated with FedEx Corporation. And we want to let you know that eTruck Biz is business support for FedEx service providers. We help you organize administrative functions, optimize productivity and efficiency, and maximize your financial results. And there actually is a way to capitalize on Network 2.0. So if you're looking to improve your business results or to take the pain out of making the integration happen in your operation, you can come to Huntsville, Alabama next week. And we'd like to invite you to Huntsville for a 2-day seminar on how to capitalize on Network 2.0. Day one, we're going to go through all the economics, all the different ways that 2.0 is going to affect your financial results, how to understand and profit from what is actually a significant financial transformation. And then day two, we're going to learn the how or what to do as far as methods, training, mastering some operational techniques for Network 2.0, shifting the driver's gears a little bit, right? Again, it's February 19th and 20th, downtown Huntsville at the AC Hotel. You can register at training.etruckbiz.com if you'd like. And as always, we go through the volume trends first. So let's take a look at the pickups. So it looks like pickup stops took a little bit of a turn down a little bit last week. And then pickup stops, though, are hanging in there. That's good. But on the delivery side, oh boy, that's not going the right way. And again, these would be high volume shippers for some reason, not necessarily shipping what they're capable of for sure, but they're not realizing their potential there. So packages and stops down a little bit on the delivery side last week. And then the best thing here is let's look at the productivity. That's good. We took a couple trucks off the road. That's looking good. But over on the stops per dispatch, okay, we got a little bit of a turn up. That's good. But look where we were not more than a month and a half, 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago. But we were at 115, 120 on stops per dispatch. Folks, you can make money in the 115 to 120 per dispatch range. Down here at 96, it just gets a lot harder to do. So and you'll see this later, especially this is one of the things we're going to talk about if you come to Huntsville, but you're going to need to get to higher stops per dispatch or peak-like productivity. So the few months after the new year comes, post-peak, it's the most volatile time when it comes to forecasting volume. Peak's going to happen. You're going to get an increase in volume. In July, middle of summer, volume's going to take a dip. It's pretty steady otherwise, but it's the January, February, March where the volume's very volatile. It's because this is the time of the year when large shippers make changes to their traffic patterns. So their traffic patterns means some large shippers might come over from UPS. Some large shippers might go back to UPS. Who knows? Whatever it is. But this is the time of year that it happens, and it makes it tough to forecast the volume. So we're curious what you're seeing out there as far as DRO, FRO accuracy, or if the terminals are doing a good job of communicating shifts in volume. We'd like to know what's going on out there. So if you could drop your thoughts in the chat as far as what do you think you're seeing out there? Are they doing a good job forecasting the volume? We know that the DRO, FRO is not always necessarily accurate, but we want to know how bad it might be getting right now.
Jeff, could I add also,
Yes.
if you were a customer of ours, or how does it trending compared to last year? at this time. That's always a good look as well.
All right, so over in the news. So here we go. Network 2.0 is rolling on, right? So here, FedEx confirms 3 more facility closures for Network 2.0. FedEx is closing 3 ship centers in its U.S. network in the coming months as it advances its Network 2.0 initiative, a company spokesperson said in an email to Supply Chain Drive. A facility in Lexington, Kentucky is closing March 3rd. The Lexington closure will impact 122 employees, the majority of which are couriers, according to a Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act notice sent on January 3rd. Employees whose positions are eliminated will be provided the options to consider transfer to new locations, severance, or leave of absence during which they may pursue other positions with FedEx, the notice said. So, in a lot of places, and I know here in Huntsville, the couriers have been notified that they're going to be losing their jobs are being given the opportunity to put themselves in front of contractors. Have you seen that out there, Ken?
Yeah, I know they did it actually in Louisville, that they had a meet and greet. And I remember back last year, they also did it in Little Rock.
Okay, just so you know that there's might be bad for them, but you may be able to benefit a little bit from that, from picking up some of those folks. Locations in Staten Island, New York, and Erie, Pennsylvania are scheduled to close in June. WARN Act notices had not been filed for those facilities as of Tuesday. The FedEx spokesperson said information on layoffs won't be available until closer to the closure date as employees weigh their various options. The closures will add to the number of FedEx facilities that have shuttered as a result of Network 2.0, a multi-year company initiative to merge its separate express and ground networks and cut overlapping facilities. FedEx continues to see a 10% reduction in pickup and delivery costs in markets in which it has fully rolled out the program, Raj said. Now, they're touting 10%, but they're actually seeing it's much more than 10% reduction in pickup in P&D costs. This is the whole point of doing this. So anyway, as we keep going through Network 2.0, FedEx has optimized 200 stations so far, and including 130 in Canada. Raj said, by the end of the fiscal year 2025, the company plans to have 250 stations integrated into Network 2.0. And this is interesting. Rival UPS is overhauling its own operations under its Network of the Future program. Oh, there's something new, which will result in roughly 200 U.S. facilities closing as it shifts volumes to more automated hubs. Another thing that has happened recently is FedEx acquires Route Smart Technologies, further strengthening global pickup and delivery optimization. By bringing this leading technology in-house, FedEx expects to gain better visibility and use of FedEx proprietary operational data, and will be able to leverage Route Smart's technology platform as FedEx builds enterprise route optimization capabilities. So that's FedEx for what? It's FedEx for, does that mean that the FRO and the Forge application will wind up getting merged together? Is that possible? Maybe. Will it mean at some point, will you actually need your optimization apps? Don't know. But if they put those two things together, and watch what they're saying there, they're talking about using their proprietary operational data and leveraging it and whatnot, might mean that at some point. So we'll see what happens. It'll happen over the next couple, 2-3 years, I'm sure. Okay, with nearly 100 more terminals already announced for Network 2.0 optimization in 2025. So actually there was another round early this week. So the June terminals are out there. Those of you, you might be on here. I don't know if you're on here or not, but there's actually another round coming up here in June, and maybe 100 more to be announced for this year. We don't know. We'll see, but from all indications, they're starting to really hit the gas. There is a developing problem out there. We are seeing a much higher than normal turnover rate among service providers. So if you guys look around, I'm sure you've seen some folks leave, you've seen some folks maybe try to sell. You know what we're talking about, but it's about 3 times more than normal. We're seeing churn in both pre-integration and post-integration service providers. So it's not necessarily true that before you hit the integration, if they're going to ask, if you're bronze and you can't break out of it or something like that, some of those folks are leaving pre-integration, but there's actually some churn post-integration. That's another new thing we've been seeing here recently as well. This turnover is roughly divided by half of the folks are voluntarily leaving. So we've seen that happen. And then the other half of the folks that are leaving are being helped to find the exit door one way or another. So they can do that. And it's not necessarily out and out terminations of agreements, but as Network 2.0 gets scheduled for your particular facility, not everybody is getting extended the offer to participate in Network 2.0. It seems that those who have left were having difficulty accepting and adapting to change. Wouldn't it be great if there were a simple way to ease the fear, pain, and uncertainty of sweeping change that Network 2.0 will bring? And please understand, and some of you that are on here might have already been through it, and you can testify to this, but it is a big change. It's not like we've had people say, it's the same thing, we're delivering boxes. Yes, you're delivering boxes, but in it's a different way. The logistics of Express are very different than those of Ground, right? But wouldn't it be great if there were a way to ease the fear, right? Wouldn't it be great to get an operating and financial plan that gives you the number of planned dispatches with productivity goals needed to achieve your profit targets, as well as what the expected financial impact is going to be for your business. So that's one of the things, folks. You're getting these Network 2.0 packets, and they're very helpful. But when you see or when you analyze what's going to happen to the financial makeup of your business, it's very different. Do you want to see past the transition into what running your new business looks like? Because it is different. It's not just the transition time, but then it's past that. What's it look like at that point? There is a way. So we now have the Network 2.0 optimized CSA analysis, negotiation, and financial plan package. There's a lot going on here, folks. Let's see if we can break it down a little bit. But this package provides answers that FedEx isn't going to give you. Right? So this package is in high demand. We've been very busy doing this. Question is, what is this? So it's a comprehensive way to analyze, understand, and plan for your newly configured CSA. By the way, I don't know if I have something here about this, but pretty much everybody that remains after the reconfiguration of the terminal service area, pretty much everybody's CSA somehow gets changed. Some of it just a little bit, sometimes it's a little bit, sometimes it's a brand new CSA or practically brand new CSA. However, there are a few folks that their CSA didn't change at all, but most of you will be faced with some sort of change in the makeup of your CSA. The optimized CSA analysis also combines the above analysis with the negotiation consultation needed to successfully take on your optimized CSA. I think there's probably a point or two about this, but we'll always tell you never do your own negotiation unless you're just going to pick a meso, which is really not the thing to do either. But especially now, especially as these CSAs change, as the characteristics of your area changes, it's darn near impossible to try to figure out what a good offer might be, what a bad offer might be. There is some information in those packets that help out a lot, but still putting it all together and to make some sense out of it, of course, we wouldn't suggest trying to do that on your own.
Hey, Jeff, and I think
Yes.
Terry will back this up. They give you upfront money during this process, but none of it is tied to your contract like the normal negotiation where it's 1%. So all the more reason to negotiate.
If you go back to before the ISP agreement became the thing, there was, and I can't remember what they called it, but they offered some upfront money just to sign a couple of addendums, if you remember that.
Yeah, when you forfeited.
Your proprietary interest in your work area. Yes,
Yes.
sir. It's the same, which is that's good news if you want to call it. You call it what you want to call it. Some incentive money to make the transition. I don't know if you said you weren't going to make the transition. I guess you probably would be leasing your trucks on somewhere else. But anyway, yeah, there is that. It's also the help needed to make a transition easy and assure the financial results FedEx intends. So there actually are some improvements in what they're going to offer you. And some of you who have already went through it, when you come back around again, you're going to see that there are some financial, we'll call them improvements to the contracts. It's real important that you seize on those, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit too. Why do you need an optimized CSA analysis? It takes the hassle out of doing your own engineering for the integration. So there's a lot of plug and chug, and there's a lot of, if some of you like that kind of getting in there and doing your own plugging and chugging the numbers, that's fine. But if you don't have the time or don't want the hassle, we can do that for you. It compares current and optimized CSA with express volume for needed operating changes. So that's another big deal. So not only are sometimes the zip codes changing, its characteristics of your CSA are changing, but everybody's not getting a blanket amount of express. It's not the same for everybody's CSA. So there are some CSAs that get a little bit of express. There are some CSAs that have a ton of express coming. So that's another thing, and the financial incentives tied to those change everything as well. So it's just it's a lot to try to analyze, right? Gives you the operating goals and guidelines for the newly reconfigured CSA. So that's one of the things that's missing out there, folks, is have you formulated your own operating goals and for your CSA? Some people have, but what are they based on? Are they based on any kind of engineering? Are they have any financial basis, or is it just this area usually gets this amount of packages, so that's what we do because we always did what we've always done? You need to come up with some goals for each particular dispatch, right? It sorts out the operational demands needed and needed capacity, how many trucks you're going to need. Okay, that's what everybody wants to know. How many trucks am I going to need to do this or that? Now, you can guess, or you can put too many on, however you want to figure it out, but there's an engineered way to do this, right? And that's what you'll get with this particular
Yeah,
analysis,
last thing you want to do is go out and buy too many trucks.
which has happened. Those of you that might be on here, you know what we're talking about. So anyway, the analysis also provides financial transparency into your newly reconfigured CSA. What is that CSA going to be worth? How much EBITDA, how much owners benefit, what is it going to be? What should you expect to make on that new CSA, right? Shows you what FedEx thinks you should spend, what your expenses are expected to be based on a standard budget. What would FedEx expect to spend on a particular CSA? That helps you in your negotiation. It also calculates your FedEx anticipated owner's benefit or how much your profit. What does FedEx think this area should make? Now, we can argue all day long about what it does, how it does do, but at least you can know what FedEx would expect in that particular reconfigured CSA. Takes all the data and develops an expense plan so you can change and improve your financial results. So here's a real big opportunity for everybody. If you haven't been necessarily happy with your financial results, here's a good opportunity to tear everything apart, make some plans, use some engineering, and come up with what this area should be making. What should you be making? What is this really worth? What would FedEx expect to make in this particular area, right? And then tailor what you do to match that. But you'll have to negotiate a new contract for the new CSA. As these CSAs get reconfigured, that triggers a new negotiation, right? It includes the valuable contract negotiation consultation in order for you to maximize the value of your contract. Carrie that's on here, you've talked to her many times before. I don't know why you wouldn't get Carrie to help you. She helps folks get more money, but that's okay. You can take a meso.
Not only that, but even if they are stingy in the more money part, just the rearrangement of the contract to benefit the contractor versus benefiting FedEx can make a world of difference, especially with volume increases.
Especially with Express mixed in there now too. It also helps to evaluate and negotiate the brand new contract charges, what we're trying to say, in a new unfamiliar CSA configuration. So what are the new Carrie, if you're listening, what are the new contract charges for those that don't know?
There's an early pull charge, and then there's a time definite stop surcharge. So that's two areas that are different, and it is not the same across the board. We're seeing variations in those charges. And another new thing that just came into play is a longer contract. So that's another thing that we're seeing just very recently is instead of the 1-year contracts that all of you have been seeing the past few years, they are now offering a 2-year contract, and there are increases in the second year. This is a whole new ballgame that we're entering into with this integration of Express and 2.0.
Very cool. Very cool. In the end, service providers will, with our analysis here, will save money by going into 2.0 with an operating expense plan. So that's one of the reasons people are frustrated and fear the transition or transformation is there's some information in your packet, but it's not necessarily an operating plan. And it's definitely not an expense plan, right? So what am I supposed to spend? I got to put extra trucks on. Well, what's my cost per stop, package, mile, all those things? What are my costs going to be? They're not going to help you with that, which that's okay. That's fine. That's up to service providers to figure out. But anyway, this way you can enter into the great unknown with some guidance. This also saves significant amounts of money not learning from trial and error caused by experimenting with various operating plans. First of all, how do you know how many trucks you need to dispatch every day? Just by feel, which you might, that's possible, but that's probably not going to yield you the greatest financial returns. And so then you start experimenting with maybe I need a truck over here, so I put it over here, start moving things around. All that costs money, costs a lot of money actually to do that kind of thing. So it'll save you from having to do that type of thing. Service providers can actually make money by utilizing our industry-leading contract negotiation consultation service. That's Miss Carrie. She probably going to get you some more money. It has been making a huge difference in a negotiation situation where you don't have the information that you would have if it was a CSA that you've operated for the last 3 or 4 years, something like that. That in those cases, you pretty much know what's going on. But in taking on a new CSA or a reconfigured CSA, where do you get that information? Those of you that know us know that we've got tons of data. Carrie knows what she's doing. In the end, what are you going to do with the money you make and the time you save by realizing the results you intended on? So a lot of folks struggle. They spend their entire lives making not that much money, right? This is your chance. This transition, this is a chance to make a significant event happen, not only with you, but with your business. This is the opportunity. I know a lot of people are going to say, nah, this is not what happens, but yeah, they're going to pay a little bit more money. In a way, your density is going to increase, which is going to decrease your operating costs. So if you take the two and just the overall increase in revenue, and if you handle it the right way, or if you handle it in a way that is profitable, productive, and efficient, here's a chance. Here's a chance to turn what may have been a lot of frustration into something real good. And those of you that are operating halfway decent, you're going to be real happy after the transition. If you want to see how to get a Network 2.0 optimized CSA analysis, negotiation, and financial package, I can't even say it all. But if you want to get one of those, and you can get one even though some of you have already gone through the actual negotiation. You can still get the analysis, but the best way to do it is to do both, is to get, as soon as they give you a package, or as soon as you're about to get a package, it would be really good if you let us know, get us involved, and we can help you before you actually go into a Network 2.0 negotiation, to ensure the results that that will show you, or to ensure the results that FedEx expects you to have, or expects you to realize, which should be post Network 2.0 optimization. Of course, and this is why we did this, the business support system, because after you make the transition, things are different. That's what the business support system is all about. It's the administrative services manager program that'll help you save a lot of time, so you don't have to do a bunch of busy work that you're doing now, because you have to watch your operation. It's not something you can just set it and forget it. It's different than that. If there's something that's different between express and ground, you can't just dispatch and just hope everybody gets done. It's just not going to work that way. And that ASM program will help you be able to watch that. And of course, the OPP program, where Ken is today, the boys where are you guys today?
We are in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta.
I would say Hotlanta, but it's not very hot today.
All right. Anyways, if you'd like to make sure you're maximizing your efficiency, what can you do to get that done? Look at some engineering, some DRO, FRO improvements, or just having your operation, have a once over on your operation, and to keep it that way. That's what the OPP program's about. And then the expense management program. We'll have some, I hope, I'm told, that we're going to have some big announcements on that probably next week here in Huntsville. We'll give you some more information on that. So all those programs help you simplify your payroll, HR, benefits, recruiting, finance, productivity, taxes. Yes, taxes if you want, counting, time tracking, and more. All in place. Didn't let Becca talk this time. But if you want to make an appointment with Becca to go through anything that we just showed, you can go to asm.etruckbiz.com, or the new page. I'm not even going to try to say any of that, but that's the new page right there. Or if you were looking at registering for the upcoming seminar next week, training.etruckbiz.com. Ken, do we have any questions?
We've got one in the Q&A here. It says, if someone is awarded a P&D route, does your company provide assistance with the initial negotiations? Miss Carey.
Absolutely. If it is a new definition for you, my first suggestion is to ask for some historical stop and package data that can be analyzed. But yes, I have done many negotiations with regards to new CSAs.
And it's definitely something that you should look at being awarded if you're a existing contractor or a new contractor, because I've always said there's bad free stuff out there. Okay, so you definitely want another set of eyes on that, and Miss Carey is the expert in the industry, so please utilize those services. Okay, we got some chat information. Looks like some of the historical volume. It says got significant differences all over the place with variance out in St. Louis. It says volume is up, FRO is all over the place. Dead on some days, off by 20%, and other days, station leadership provides zero information regarding the volume. So that's one of those, if you're an eTruck Biz user, definitely compare year over year with your historical data. So if I want to see how February's trending this year, compare it with last year, if I'm up 7%, then I should probably be up 7% for the entire month. So that's historical data is a great way to go, especially when the borough is all over the place. Okay. It says Milwaukee terminal not communicating any trends or volume changes. We have forums every other Wednesday. It's the same message every time. There is zero communication. Like I said, I definitely understand your frustration. Continue to utilize historical information. It's always the best. Look at the trends for your business. Because just like volume can move within your CSA, it can move within a station as well. Jeff said shippers making moves with their freight. All of a sudden they went back to UPS, or they came to FedEx because FedEx gave them a better pricing deal. Also, their customers could route the freight. Maybe all of a sudden your customer made a deal on the receiving end where they've got a bulk discount with FedEx. So that can change some trends significantly. This is a good question, and it's a little deeper. So it says, Jeff, at the FedEx Summit, FedEx said the average cost throughout the entire network is $10.40 per package. Therefore, can you use that to calculate what X places an appropriate value on your CSA? They seem to negotiate about 25% of the overall value of a CSA. I could start it with
Go ahead.
that 1040. That's going to include the cost of picking it up, the cost of the outbound dock at your local facility processing it, on average, 2 hub handling costs. So when you run a hub, you are a cost center. You do not produce any revenue as a hub, because you don't pick up or deliver packages whatsoever. So each hub, whatever their costs are, that gets divided by the number of packages that they handle, and that charge is part of that $10.20. And then you have the preload cost, or I'm sorry, the line haul cost, to move it to the hub, and then move it from hub to hub, and then from hub to satellite. All that line haul cost, and that's extremely expensive. I would imagine that's in the $2.70 to $3 per package range. That is included. And then, like I said, then you have the preload cost. So all of those go into that 1020. The way FedEx used to allocate revenue, the pickup terminal would get 40% because it's much cheaper to pick up a package than it is to deliver a package. And the delivery package would get 60% of the revenue. And like I said, all of those charges, the line haul charges, the hub handling charges, the admin cost, all of that gets included in that $10.20. I guess that's the best way to answer it. The value of a CSA, basically what they're looking at, probably the simplest way to break it down is they think they know what it costs you to operate that business, and then they're going to include a profit margin on top of what it costs you to handle that business. I don't know. Would you agree with that, Jeff?
So each CSA has very different characteristics. So first of all, if they told you 1040 per package, I'm curious who said, maybe they said that. I'm not saying they didn't, but I don't know if they want to broadcast that to anybody. But anyways, based on that, every CSA is very unique. And by unique, there's different miles that get driven. There's different stop densities. There's different packages per stop. There's different road conditions. There's a bazillion different things that go into a particular CSA. And I'm very sure, and Carrie hopefully can maybe back us up here, there's no blanket way to figure out the value of a contract for a particular CSA without going into all those different factors and calculations. Think about it, if they were trying to figure out, if they were going to do it themselves, they wouldn't just say, well, it costs us 1040 per package, so we'll take 25% more, and that's what it should cost us throwing it down. Oh, I'm going to tell you, no way. There's some engineers, maybe possibly even on this call, that their skin's crawling right now. That I wouldn't figure it out that way.
Yeah, and I think that exactly what Jeff said rolls into this next question. Basically says any trends on 2.0 stations on if they are going to FedEx employee or FedEx contract model. Certain areas, certain stations they choose, lots of opportunity in my area to grow, but hard to decide.
To dump money into this business if I could be gone in a year.
Yeah,
Now, one thing's for sure, there doesn't seem to be any hard and fast pattern on how they're making the reconfiguration decisions. So some terminals are they're just moving some zip codes around and really nothing's happening. Some terminals, one in particular, I don't know if we want to say the name of the city in the smack dab middle of Arkansas, but they took the downtown zip codes and let's just say, cut a big donut hole in that terminal service area, and that downtown's being serviced by purely couriers, which is different than what they're doing in other places. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that go into how they're deciding where to have couriers and where to have contractors. However, and as we said for years now, everything's going to be predominantly serviced by contractors. So there's phase one now. They're gonna step it up and get some more terminals going, and probably take them, I'll say, a couple years to get it all done, maybe more. But then the next phase is what?
bring it back.
The next phase would be to the whatever couriers are handling, to get contractors to handle that. Why? Because we saw earlier in this seminar or webinar today, that they're admitting to a 10% decrease in pickup and delivery costs. You think they're not going to do that across the board with everything? Why wouldn't you? Right? This is going to take them a long time to do it. Plus, as Carrie told us, we're starting to see some, if you guys remember, there used to be 5-year contracts back in the day, but they're going from crazy whatever month contracts or week contract, whatever it was, to now Carrie's saying that we're starting to see some 2-year contract. Would we see a 3-year contract down the road? Who knows? But it gets a little easier to plan for the future the longer the contract you have. So I don't know, if you're running a good business, which is what everybody wants to do, but if you're running a good business, you're fitting completely into FedEx's plan. In fact, and a lot of you on here as well know that they're going to offer the good operators. Most of you have already been approached with multi-facility operations. In fact, where Ken is, I think, doesn't that contractor have 6 or 7 operations now?
Yes, six of them to be exact, and said with opportunities for more.
Yeah, and it's always happened before, but now it looks like the business model is going to support it. And if you want to, if you want to really, that's what we tried to say a week or so ago, this is a really big opportunity to build a transportation company that's a very significant entity if you want to.
And as far as 15 and 20-year contractors walking out, as Jeff said, this is a big change, and it's a big change for your drivers. And change just doesn't happen. It has to be implemented, and it's not easy, but it has to happen. Some people just aren't willing to put forth the repeated effort that it takes to make that change, because you are going to have to change drivers' behaviors. You've had people preach to you that pay per day, and if they get done at 2 o'clock and everything's great, they go home. It won't work in Network 2.0. And people have built their business around that model. It won't work in 2.0. And like I said, some people just aren't willing to make that change. And if they've done well for 15 and 20 years and don't want to change, more power to them. There's other opportunities out there, but this is a great opportunity. But you've got to change behaviors. You got to change the way you manage the business. You're not managing a day operation now, you're managing an hourly operation. Okay, got another. Yep. Says we are about to be fully integrated in Kentucky. So far, the transition is somewhat difficult for everyone. We will overcome the challenges and win. With that attitude, you're absolutely right, as long as you have a good plan. Though 3 contractors who have been with FedEx did decide to walk out. Like I said, they are not interested in being out of their comfort zone. Perfect way to put it. So it will definitely put you out of your comfort zone, and it puts your drivers out of the comfort zone. So it just, but on the other side, it can be beneficial, quite frankly, for everyone. Drivers want to make more money. You know what? If they work longer and they're productive while they're out there, they will make more money. You will make more money because and you'll be able to pay them more because you will be generating more revenue. I'm not saying give it away, but if they are earning that fund and they are those funds and producing it, you can definitely pay more and said, because some of your other costs do go down as a percentage of your revenue. Okay, good question here. With the recent acquisition of RouteSmart by FedEx Corp, do you foresee FRO integrating with Forge for potential efficiency gains? Our FOR is off 17 to 30% daily, so it's not a great tool like it should be. You want that one, Jeff, or I can start it?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it will definitely be somewhat integrated in some of the routing, definitely some of the route planning. There already is some pretty good stuff in there with dynamic anchors and moving stuff in between routes. And quite frankly, whatever the volume comes in, the dynamic DRO is or FRO is going to produce the most efficient route. So I think that will help. Quite frankly, the inaccuracies, most of them are probably caused by humans. I hate to say it, but if somebody in the hub doesn't close out a trailer or the local station runs premium trailers or doesn't run a trailer, there's an accident. Most of the inaccuracies are human related and or weather related. So those will happen. And when do they happen the most? They happen December, January, February, when weather happens, when volumes fluctuate, when stations and hubs have service failures. Anything to add to that, Jeff? Okay. Rolling on here, since our 2.0 integration at my 2 terminals, I've gotten to know several express managers that have been absorbed in our operation. In talking to these guys, all have said that 95 to 96 service levels were the norm and were acceptable service levels at the express world. However, how the heck does X place 98.5 minimum service level on us for PO services on top of robust ground volume to hit TDSS bonus thresholds? I'm hitting TDSS routinely, but why such a disparity level? If you come to our session next Tuesday, we'll have an express manager there that'll probably tell you if he had 96.0 service, he would have been unemployed and never got to retire from FedEx. I'm not saying they're lying. Maybe times have changed over the last few years, but remember what they used to say, absolutely positively, it had to be there overnight. And is it easy? Rich, you're one of the best contractors that I met many years ago. You've adjusted to this new world. You're hitting it 98.5. It has been an industry standard for years. It used to be an LTL industry standard. Now I see their service rates and they, quite frankly, they stink. Small package will continue to lead the way. I can tell you, I would imagine UPS has a 98.5 service standard, if not higher. So that's why I think if you don't ask for 98.5, you're never going to get 98.5. So I think that's why there is that level. And no, it's not easy, but it's not 100%. So that means there's a day where you can have a driver break down and you don't make those 10:30s or those noons. Something's going to happen. But across the week, can I get there? Yeah. Across the year, when we're looking at people's contracts, we try to figure that revenue based on 90% because we say you're going to be a B plus student, which means 90% of the weeks you're going to hit it. And like I said, that'll be that then you would get 90% of that revenue. If you're hitting it 100% of the time, you're awesome. So I don't know, Jeff, you got anything to add, or if I rambled too long with that?
Did I see Rich's name on the list for next week?
I thought he was going to sign up. He had
I
mentioned
thought I might have saw it. I don't know. I gotta look.
not easy, and Rich's operation probably had to change as much as anybody's. They're a very densely populated area, very productive drivers, so their stops per hour were extremely high, but things had to change. So, and Rich, congratulations if you're hitting that bonus all the time because you've always produced. So that's good to see. Got another one. Could you please explain how Network 2.0 integration will be more profitable for contractors? What type of increase in revenue is expected? That's all you, Jeff.
So there's a couple of new charges, not that the early pull charge, Carrie mentioned the early pull charge. What that is if for some reason they got to ask you to take your trucks off, well, I want you to bring the air back to the terminal early to get the outbound done early. If they have to ask you to do that, they'll pay you. Depends on the size of your operation or what's going on, but it's several $100s. That's not a money maker. The money maker is the increase in density. So an increase in density equates to a lower per unit cost on a contractor's part. And when you Huntsville, we're going to go over this in a lot of detail, but as your density increases, your revenue goes down, or your cost per unit goes down. But there's also the time definite delivery charge. Now they were outrageous to begin with, and they've settled down on that. But if you're already going to a stop where you would have made $4 or whatever it is now, and if you're taking an express package there as well, a lot of times there's an extra couple bucks in there and you're not incurring any new costs when you do that. So if you're going someplace anyway, you're spending whatever you're spending to get to that stop. And if you got another package, especially an express package, and it's got a $1, $2, $3 time definite service charge on it, that's good. The other thing is, and whether folks want to believe this or not, but your drivers you're going to be more fully utilizing your resources. Ken said, it's not, you can't fill up a truck and if somebody brings it back at noon, say, oh, okay, he's done for the day. That's not how it works on the express side of the house. Having a truck on the road producing revenue when it would otherwise be sitting in a terminal producing nothing or gathering dust, that also increases not only your revenue, but it increases your resource utilization, which also means you can dispatch fewer dispatches when you don't have everybody come back at noon, which on a per unit basis or per dispatch basis takes a lot of unprofitable dispatches and makes them profitable. And actually, there's a whole methodology to this. There's a lot of things going on here. But doing it the way you're going to have to do it. It's not even because you guys have heard us for years trying to say, I need to do this, you do that. Well, that's great. But you have to do it this way. So it's going to force you to increase your margins and your profitability. That's how it goes.
Keith, I hope that answered your question, because it can be there, as Jeff said, your unit cost will go down. And that's the best part about it. Density reduces unit costs. The most unproductive thing a driver does is drive. So now rather than driving past stops, they're going to make that stop. And as Jeff said, if I've got a ground package there and an air package, lo and behold, I'm there by 10:30. I'm getting paid for both packages, and I'm getting a stop bonus, be it $1, $1.25, whatever.
It's not necessarily a big increase in revenue will go up because of just more packages, more stops, some new charges. Your revenue will increase, but it's what's going to happen to your cost structure that's of most important. It's the most important thing.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I think that is all the questions, and we kept you on here a full hour today. We appreciate your patience. Questions were very good, as always. Will we be hosting next Tuesday, Jeff?
That's up in the air right now. Check your email.
Okay, yeah, please check your email. Some of us will be traveling on that day as we head down to hopefully sunny Huntsville, Alabama, since it's cold and rainy here in Atlanta, and I'm normally in non-sunny Northeast Ohio. I would like to see some sun next week, but we'll let you know. We appreciate your time today. Appreciate your feedback. And if we don't talk to you before next week, please have a safe and profitable week. Thank you very much.